Media, which has failed the American people. Journalism is dead. But when she brought up the point, if you want to be commander-in-chief, well, you can laugh, Geraldine.
No,
let me make my point, and then you can answer.
Ahead.
When you have a commander-in-chief that accuses our brave men and women fighting of air-raiding villages and killing, let me finish, air-raiding villages and killing civilians, he'll meet with rogue dictators who is naive and irresponsible and dangerous enough to actually believe Iran is a tiny country and not a serious threat. And by the way, is also, I'll throw this in, friendly with and gives speeches with and sits on a board with an unrepentant terrorist. These issues matter, Geraldine, and they're going to be talked about in the next 30 days.
They may be talked about.
Yes, ma'am.
When you come to the debate, she didn't clear up any information.
She brought this information to the table.
But she also came out with a whole bunch of I'm not going to call them lies, but misstatements.
Which one?
Excuse me, Mr. President. And you want me to go get my email?
Yes, go get your Obama email. Go ahead.
Where you
Who sent it? David Axelrod?
No. Oh, please. I don't even talk to David Axelrod.
I ran into David Axelrod last night.
Did you really? And what did he say?
I told him I'm sorry you had a bad night. That's what I told him.
Hopefully,
however, if you take a look at what's happened, how the American public views it, again, could you just step back a little bit from what's going on in this thing?
I have 20 seconds. Let me get this question in. How can somebody be commander-in-chief and accuse our troops of air-raiding villages and killing civilians?
First of all, Sean, you've been saying this for God knows how many months.
No, but now it's in the public domain.
I have not a clue of what he said, when he said it, where he said it. You remember that?
I have the tape.
Okay, good.
His comments about that in Afghanistan all Americans are doing is bombing villages and killing innocent civilians.
The exact quote is air-raiding villages and killing civilians.
I mean, that's so insulting to the men and women who are serving in the military. I think that he should at least retract that statement. But
on the other side, there's an ad that is still airing. And the implication of that ad is that Senator Obama is attacking the troops for killing civilians.
Who is Barack Obama? He says our troops in Afghanistan are
just air-raiding villages and killing civilians.
How dishonorable.
Let me read to you what Senator Obama actually said in the real context. We've got to get the job done there, and that requires us to have enough troops so that we're not just air-raiding villages and killing civilians, which is causing enormous problems there. He was talking about military strategy. He was talking about a need to increase the number of troops to have a different kind of strategy. That wasn't an indictment of the troops. That was an indictment of the strategy. And this in a context in which the Defense Secretary, Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, has apologized for civilian casualties. That's a consequential ad, if you believe that. You might draw a bad inference.
But how is the audience to know? How does the audience ever?
We need more resources. It's not a question, though, of just military resources. It's a question of more civilian resources, more governance, more economic aid to Afghanistan, and more regional stability as well.
Over the next several months, the U.S. plans to increase its troop numbers from the current 33,000. Relations between the United States and Afghanistan have been strained in recent weeks after a U.S. military airstrike on August 22nd killed dozens of civilians.
They were children, old men, and women who were killed. There is no one among these dead who are Taliban.
The U.S. military originally reported between 5 to 7 civilians died. But yesterday, a military investigation spurred on by this amateur video confirmed 30 civilian deaths. Afghan President Hamid Karzai has said the deaths undermine his government and the international mission.
We cannot tolerate civilian casualties, not even one. Therefore, the right mechanism has to be established, foolproof, to avoid civilian casualty.
The U.S. apologized for the incident.